Ever notice how the cutest things sometimes have the shortest shelf lives? We're not talking about your grocery store sushi here. We're talking about a pink jellyfish that conquered the world and might just be swimming toward the exit. The Labubu craze, that collision of nightmare fuel and kawaii culture, is showing some interesting cracks. You're scrolling through your feed right now, probably seeing fewer of those bug-eyed, toothy creatures than you did 3 months ago. Remember when every other post was someone unboxing their mystery Labubu, shrieking over which variant they got? That frenzy, that absolutely unhinged energy, it's cooling off. And the signs are everywhere if you know where to look. Imagine you're running a pop-up store dedicated entirely to these things. 6 months ago, you had lines around the block, people camping overnight for limited editions. Now, still busy, sure, but that desperate, must-have-it-now intensity has definitely mellowed. So what happened? How does a collectible phenomenon that seemed unstoppable just a year ago start losing its grip on our wallets and our social media feeds? The answer isn't as simple as people got bored, though that's definitely part of it. Let's rewind to the peak. Labubu wasn't just a toy, it was a status symbol, a conversation starter, a whole aesthetic. Celebrities were posting their collections, resellers were making bank on rare variants, and the secondary market was absolutely bonkers. A blind box that retailed for maybe $20 could flip for hundreds if you got the right one. But here's the thing about trend-driven collectibles. They live and die by scarcity and social proof. Once everyone has one, or once the chase loses its thrill, the magic starts to fade. And Labubu might have hit that saturation point faster than anyone expected. The manufacturers did what every successful toy company does. They ramped up production. More variants, more collaborations, more limited editions that somehow weren't actually that limited. What was once rare became available. And availability is the natural enemy of hype. You can see it in the resale prices. Those rare Labubus that were commanding premium prices, they're dropping. Slowly but surely. The market's getting flooded, and collectors are getting pickier about which ones are actually worth the investment. Now, picture yourself as someone who jumped on the trend early. You've got maybe 15 Labubus on your shelf. You've spent a few $100s total. Are you still racing to grab every new release? Or are you starting to think, you know what, maybe I have enough weird pink jellyfish things in my life? Social media algorithms tell a brutal story. Engagement on Labubu content is down across platforms. The hashtags that were exploding with millions of posts are still there, but the growth has plateaued. New collectors are still discovering them? Sure, but that viral momentum has definitely slowed. Here's where it gets interesting though. This doesn't mean Labubu is dead. It just means the craze is normalizing into something more sustainable. Think of it as going from supernova to regular star. Still burning, just not blinding everyone who looks at it. The hardcore collectors aren't going anywhere. These are people who genuinely love the design, the aesthetic, the whole Pop Mart universe that Labubu belongs to. For them, this cooling period is actually kind of nice. Less competition, more reasonable prices, easier access to the pieces they actually want. But for the casual trend hoppers, the ones who bought Labubu because everyone else was, they're moving on to whatever's next. That's the natural life cycle of internet-driven collectible trends. And Labubu is following the pattern almost perfectly. Compare this to other recent collectible crazes. Squishmallows had their absolute peak and then settled into steady popularity. Funko Pops went through similar cycles. The question isn't whether Labubu will completely disappear, it's whether it can maintain enough of a base to stick around long term. Marketing teams behind these trends are incredibly smart about this phase. They know the peak won't last forever, so they're already planning the next move. Strategic collaborations, new character launches, different price points to capture different segments of the market. You're watching a masterclass in trend management happening in real time. How do you keep people interested without oversaturating? How do you maintain scarcity while also meeting demand? It's a delicate balance, and right now, Labubu's teetering on that line. The criticism has ramped up too. People calling out the consumerism, the environmental impact of all that plastic, the manufactured scarcity that drives up prices. When a trend is hot, these voices get drowned out. When it cools, they get louder. Some collectors are selling off parts of their collections, keeping only their favorites. Marie Kondoing their Labubus, if you will. Does this sparking joy anymore? Or is it just taking up space and gathering dust? Here's the ironic part. The very things that made Labubu so successful are now working against it. The mystery box model that created excitement also created disappointment when you got duplicates. The limited editions that drove demand also priced out casual fans. The social media hype that spread awareness also made the trend feel oversaturated. The physical retail presence is telling too. Those dedicated Labubu sections in toy stores and gift shops, still there, but they're not expanding anymore. Some stores are actually shrinking their displays, making room for whatever's coming next. Walk into any mall right now, and you'll see the shift. Labubu merchandise is still available, still selling, but it doesn't command the same prime real estate it did 6 months ago. The promotional posters aren't as prominent, the special events aren't as frequent. Economic factors play a role too. People are being more selective about discretionary spending. A $20 mystery box here and there adds up fast, and collectors are doing the math. Is another Labubu worth skipping lunch twice this week? The community aspect is evolving as well. Online groups dedicated to Labubu collecting are seeing different kinds of conversations. Less, look what I just got, and more, here's my complete collection. It's shifting from acquisition to curation, from hunting to displaying. But let's not write the obituary just yet. Pop culture trends rarely die completely, they transform. Labubu might be cooling off from its peak, but that doesn't mean it's over. It means it's finding its true audience, the people who'll stick around beyond the hype. Think of it like this. Every trend goes through phases. Introduction, growth, peak, decline, and then either death or stabilization. Labubu's somewhere between peak and decline right now, sliding into what might become a stable, dedicated niche rather than a mainstream phenomenon. The manufacturers know this. They're already pivoting, testing new characters, exploring different markets, learning from what worked and what didn't. The Labubu moment taught them valuable lessons about how to launch and sustain collectible trends in the social media age. And here's what nobody's really talking about. Maybe this cooling period is healthy. Maybe having a collectible that's accessible, affordable, and not driven by artificial scarcity is actually better for everyone involved. Radical thought, right? So is the Labubu trend coming to an end? Yes and no. The craze, that white-hot moment where everyone needed one, that's cooling off. But the character, the collectible, the community, those are still here, just settling into something more sustainable and less frenzied. 6 months from now, Labubu will probably be what Funko Pops are today. Still around, still collected, still released in new variants, but without the overwhelming cultural moment that defined its peak. And honestly, that might be exactly where it belongs. The real question isn't what happens to Labubu next, it's what comes after. Because somewhere out there, the next collectible craze is already brewing, ready to capture imaginations and wallets and Instagram feeds. The cycle never really ends. It just finds a new face, maybe a cuter one, or perhaps something even weirder than a pink jellyfish with teeth.